What's good, YouTube? It's your boy DJ LiftOFF with the JP Way, and you don't want to miss this flight. Now in today's video, I'm going to be showing you all another scratch pattern from, you already know, one of my favorite DJs, DJ Puffy. Let's look at what we're going to be learning.
Got chain on my neck, Air Force dress, Air Force, your girl, when she vex, Air Force white like cheese.
Now before we get into it, I would say this particular scratch pattern is for your upper level beginner or right at the intermediate scratch level. And don't worry, I will be showing a simplified version as well as showing you all how you can drop this perfectly on the one. So with that said, let's get into it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate the scratch pattern in full, then we'll break it down. Alright DJs, now this scratch pattern is going to be broken down into a 4-bar scratch pattern. However, in the first 2 bars, we're essentially just previewing the track that we're going to be actually bringing in. And then the second 2 bars are going to be a little bit more involved as far as the actual scratch pattern. So for those first 2 bars, the first thing that I want you all to practice over and over again is going to be this. So go ahead and load up the Serato Scratch Sentence. It's available for download in the description, or just use whatever sound that you like to use. So then go ahead and make sure you load it up, make sure it's playing, and then come to the beginning of this first sound. So essentially all we have to preview the track is we have a scribble, just like that. And then we have 2 chirps. And then we're gonna drop the track, but when we drop the track, we're gonna make sure our crossfader is all the way to the right. So all we hear is the preview track. And then we're gonna catch that platter, or you don't necessarily have to catch it. I sometimes catch it. And then right when we get back to the downbeat of the other track, we're gonna just take our crossfader and go all the way back to the other side, just like such, okay? So as far as counting, this is gonna come right on the 2 and, so right on that and. So we would have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so 2 things you want to keep in mind when you're practicing this. Right as you're on that 4th beat, you want to make sure that you're dropping the track pretty cleanly on that 4th beat, because you're pretty much setting yourself up to then, after you drop it on that 4th beat, you're gonna bring the crossfader back over to the other side, and you wanna make sure that you're perfectly on the downbeat on this track. The reason why you wanna be super particular in where you drop that track and try to be as precise as possible is because after you drop the track, when you come back, you really wanna make sure that you're hitting this downbeat pretty cleanly. Like, you don't wanna be coming back over and then you're too far in front of the track or in front of the downbeat, and you don't want to be too far behind, just because it won't sound clean. So just practice that exact same thing over and over and over. You can practice it at different tempos. Obviously, I'm showing you all this tutorial at a pretty slow tempo, but make sure you practice this at different tempos. Now for the second 2 parts of the scratch pattern, you're going to want to make sure that you know how to do the stab, as well as the 1-click flare orbit, the chirp, and the baby scratch. If you need help with the stab or the 1-click flare orbit, I do have videos on those. However, just to quickly show you, essentially the stab, all we're doing is we're starting with our crossfader open, we're pushing into the platter and closing the crossfader, then we're pulling that platter back and then opening our crossfader. So that's something you're gonna wanna practice. And then the 1-click flare orbit, I always like to think of it as wah. You pretty much have 4 sounds. So all you're doing is you're pushing into the platter just like that stab while closing the crossfader. Then you're opening the crossfader as you continue pushing on the platter. Now you're gonna pull back on the platter, close the crossfader, and then fully come all the way back to the beginning of the sound, and then open your crossfader. So we have this 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, one more time. 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, Now, essentially right after that, we're gonna be repeating that same thing again. So when we do that again, all the way through the end, we have 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So that is the full scratch pattern there. The only difference between that third and fourth bar is after we're done with the one click flare orbit and that scribble scratch. All we have now is we have chirps, scribbles, and then at the end, we're gonna do a baby scratch right before we drop it on the 1. So again, we have. So now I'm gonna go ahead and show you the entire scratch pattern while counting really slowly, and then I'll show you the exact version that Puffy did. All we're gonna do is we're gonna add 2 stabs in one place instead of 1 stab. So first, let me show you the simplified version while counting slowly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So now the only difference between the simplified version and the actual version is when we get to that third bar, third beat, we're gonna have 2 stabs, and on the fourth bar, beat number 1, we're also gonna have 2 stabs. So it'll look like this: 3 and 2 and 3. Okay, 3 and 2 and 3. Then everything else looks the same. Then right after we do those scribbles, we're gonna be on beat number 4 now, bar 4, beat 1, and then we're gonna have 2 stabs again. Okay, so essentially it'll look like this. So I definitely encourage you all to try to do the 2 stabs if you can. It is pretty difficult to do, especially when you're in a higher BPM. However, either one sounds really, really great. One way that you can practice those double stabs is to just do this over and over. If you keep doing that over and over and over again, try to keep getting faster and faster, you'll definitely get those double stabs down. However, like I said, the single stabs sound just as good. So that's gonna wrap up this scratch pattern. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please press that subscribe button as well as press that like button as well, and turn on that notification bell so you know the next time that I upload a video. Without further ado, I will catch y'all on the next flight.
I don't got no time, but I'ma make time.